You've probably seen the movie Wrong Turn, right? A group of friends gets lost in the woods and ends up hunted by a family of cannibals. It's a classic horror flick. But what if I told you that it wasn't just a work of fiction? What if the terrifying story was inspired by something real? Let's set the scene. We're not talking about a Hollywood soundstage. We're talking about real places, real people, and a string of chilling disappearances that have haunted the Appalachian Mountains for decades. The 2003 film, Wrong Turn, drew its inspiration directly from the dark legends of rural West Virginia and the surrounding Appalachian region. These aren't just ghost stories told around a campfire. They're whispers of a hidden, violent world that exists just off the beaten path. For generations, locals have passed down tallies of isolated mountain families living far from civilization. These families, they say, are fiercely protective of their land and will go to extreme lengths to keep outsiders away. Some stories describe them as being deformed from generations of inbreeding, their bodies twisted and their minds warped. Others hint at something even darker, suggesting they are survivors of a forgotten tragedy that has left them forever changed, living by their own brutal set of rules. These stories might sound like folklore, but the official records add a disturbing layer of truth. Between the 1960s and the 1990s, an alarming number of hikers and campers vanished without a trace in the Appalachian Mountains. Police reports from that time are filled with unsettling details. Burned-out cars abandoned on remote roads, tents ripped to shreds, and blood trails that lead deep into the forest before abruptly ending. The most unnerving part, no bodies were ever found. It was as if these people were swallowed whole by the woods. Locals have always had a simple, stark warning for travelers: never take the old back roads. It's a piece of advice that seems to be rooted in genuine fear. Hunters who have ventured deep into these mountains have reported seeing shadowy figures watching them from the tree line, moving with an unnatural speed and agility. They described faces that were distorted and limbs that were twisted, something not quite human. One of the most chilling accounts comes from a rescue worker in 1994, while searching for a missing hiker. He reported hearing horrifying screams echoing through the valleys. He and his team searched for hours, but could never pinpoint the source. It was as if the forest itself was screaming. Authorities often dismissed these strange incidents and disappearances as bear attacks. But the evidence didn't add up. The remains that were sometimes found, like torn clothing or scattered belongings, didn't match the patterns of any known animal predator in the area. This is where the folklore gets even more specific. There are persistent rumors of a hidden community, a lost clan that was cut off from the rest of the world. Sometime in the early 1900s, the legend says, they retreated deep into the mountains, shunning modern society and developing their own brutal way of life. They survived by hunting, trapping, and, as the stories go, preying on anyone who wanders too far into their territory. Outsiders who stumble upon their domain simply never return. Sometimes, their belongings, a backpack, a shoe, a piece of a map, might wash up in a river miles downstream, the only proof they were ever there. These are the very stories that are said to have inspired the terrifying realism of Wrong Turn. The filmmakers tapped into this deep-seated, regional fear of what lurks in the unexplored corners of our own country. And it's not just a thing of the past. Even today, hikers in remote parts of West Virginia and Kentucky report stumbling upon strange, dilapidated cabins where no structures should be. They find crudely made traps and eerie, hand-painted warning signs nailed to trees, telling them to turn back. The locals still whisper about the ones who live in the woods, a silent warning to stay on the main roads. In many of these remote areas, modern technology is useless. GPS signals frequently fail, leaving travelers completely blind and lost, miles from help. So next time you're thinking about taking a scenic shortcut through the mountains, and your map suddenly goes blank, remember this? The horror of Wrong Turn might not be just a movie. It might be a warning. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as chilling as I did, hit that like button and subscribe for more dives into the darkness. Stay safe out there.